So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast again. For a nightcap podcast, it's kind of become. It was one that we were struggling for a name for a podcast, Paddy, when we had nothing really to talk about. And I'd say about a year ago we called a podcast the Nightcap Podcast. I think it was during the World Cup or something like that. And every so often we put it out of the drawer when there's just a couple of topics, nothing in particular to chat about. So we said we'd come on and we talk about a little bit about the news that's been happening around Aston Villa. And before I do that, I have to reference. It would be remiss of me not to reference Paddy's new background. Everybody, round of applause. Round of applause. Round of applause. Excellent.
Finally got them back from the framer. So yeah, silly not to have them behind me, wouldn't it?
I don't know why you don't have. Yeah, and you know what? I meant to say this to you when you showed me a picture of it during the week. I went, why didn't you get Townsend's jersey from the League Cup final framed?
It's not from the League Cup final. It's from when he scored the 5,000 Premier League
it was
goal.
The 5,000 goal. Yes.
Yeah. The reason I didn't get it framed is I'm waiting to get it signed. That's why.
Yes. I thought you were going to say. I'm waiting to fit into it again. I thought. I thought that was going to be, but no, it looks absolutely savage there behind you. You know, Robbie Keane. Obviously, we didn't have him for as long as we would have liked to have had him. Us being Irish fans, I think.
Doug Ellis.
Yeah, thank you for Doug Ellis and his 500 grand. We can nearly crowdfund that at the moment if it came around again. But no, there's a couple of Easter eggs there in the background. I think we can see Conor Horahan and we can see Steve Staunton there up in the background as well, along with the World Cup. And Paddy might be the only ever Irishman to have the World Cup in his house because the way things are going, it doesn't look like we'll get there anytime soon. But yeah, Paddy, it's been a while since I've had you on. Since you've been on last, I've been talking about transfer stuff. I've been doing things completely zombified. But it's great to have you on to keep me in check.
Sure, that's what I'm here for, isn't it?
It is indeed, and everybody just stay tuned as well on this podcast tonight. We're going to announce the next guest, the third of 4 guests that we're going to have on our live podcast on September the 9th in the Laughter Lounge. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Just going to come to some of your chats there as well. So yeah, the podcast here is called Investigations ? And a lot of you guys have been asking what it's about, and look, there's a piece at the moment, just Aston Villa and V Sports in general under investigation. We'll talk you through it. You've probably read it already. To be honest with you, it's much ado about nothing. But it just kind of shows that UEFA pull out the fake cop badge every so often, and they go, "I'm a cop. You gotta do what I say." And then all the robbers just walk around behind them and go about their business because it's they put it out in the good guys who comply, and then all the rest of the guys then go about their business behind. So Seferin is not proving to be a man with any substance, I think, so far. Much not as his bloviations during the Super League did make him look like a hard man. I'm yet to see him drop a hammer at all, and look, he's just another one of those football administrators. But I didn't plan on talking about suffering in that way. But anyway, we'll get to that as well. Paddy, we're going to ask you about a couple of transfer rumors that we've had as well, and as I said, we're going to do a live podcast. Couple of guys there commenting on your background, Paddy, or has it gone to I can't find it now, but somebody was saying that your background looks really good. Shooting's tweet says Paddy has his memorabilia on the wall today. Yeah, and they're there to stay. Now I have to go away and get all my shirts framed. No, thanks, Paddy.
No, it took me 3 years, in fairness.
Yeah. Well, in fair, and to be honest with you, I still never found out who that wonderful person who sent me a signed jersey by the squad last year. They sent me a signed jersey when my son was born 6.5 weeks ago. I have it there behind me. No one has come forward to tell me who did it. I have no idea. I got a package with no return address to it to my house, and it's fully signed. And to this day, I have no idea
Happy
who sent
days.
it. So that's going to go up on the wall soon, and I might do a little bit of a rejig behind me. But let's talk about our walls, Paddy, and more talk about the walls are closing in on Aston Villa, and we're going to be thrown out of all the leagues because UEFA have their cops badge out. As I said again, it's Halloween, and they've dressed up as Chief Wiggum, and they're on the case, Paddy, because for those of you who don't know, the UEFA have launched an investigation. Launched an investigation into Aston Villa and Vittoria de Guimaraes, V Sports in particular. With regards to their Article 5, UEFA's Article 5, Paddy. Paddy, come on, off the top of your head, what does Article 5 say? Quick.
It depends on what way you interpret it, because I read it today and I was like, what did that actually give me? Why did I spend that time of my life reading it?
Yeah.
Look, from what I understand is they don't have the controlling interest in Vittoria de Guimaraes, which ultimately leads that to be a non-existent article.
Well,
that's what I took from it. But take what you want with that with a pinch of salt. I may have read it completely wrong, but what I've seen in commentary, that's what seems to be the case as well.
So to kind of roll it back a level even there. So the reason that the investigation is happening is because V Sports obviously acquired Vittoria de Guimaraes. Aston Villa and Vittoria de Guimaraes potentially and hopefully and most likely will be playing in the same competition this season. So UEFA have rules in place at this moment in time that are supposed to trigger these investigations to make sure that there's no match fixing, that there's no conflicts of interest, and so on and so forth. So, hark, as I hear you all say, what does Article 5 of UEFA's rules state? So, Article 5.01 of UEFA's rules states that no club participating in one of their competitions can directly or indirectly hold or deal in the security of shares of another club participating in a UEFA competition, be a member of any other club participating in a UEFA competition, be involved in any capacity whatsoever in the management, administration, and or sporting performance of any other club participating in UEFA Cup competition, or have any power whatsoever in the management, administration, and or sporting performance of any other club participating in UEFA club competition. So that's what 5.01 says. Let's hold our horses for a moment before we start talking about that as well. Article 5, because the reason I brought up the two teams is that Article 5.02 explains that if two or more clubs fail to meet the criteria, then only one of them may be admitted to UEFA club competition, and that's the team who finished ranked higher in their respective league, which would be Vittoria de Guimaraes. So look, it's just always a soap opera, really, isn't it, with UEFA football, with Aston Villa in general. And the soap opera today is that they're coming for our European place. And why are they coming for our place? So, as Paddy mentioned there, I suppose my reading of that as well is 46% isn't the controlling interest. V Sports aren't on the board, so they don't have an involvement in the day-to-day running of the club. It's solely a financial venture, it seems, at this moment in time.
Exactly.
And look, I suppose we'd be remiss if we didn't say we're not the only club that's being investigated at the moment. Brighton and Union St. Gilloise are being were investigated or are being investigated, or there has been questions around it, and then also AC Milan and Toulouse, because they've got co-ownership with regards to that as well. So,
and the Red Bulls in Salzburg and Leipzig have been getting away with it for years.
Bulls,
So,
Red Bulls.
They both played Champions League football in the same year. It just doesn't make any sense, and I don't like the way they word it, because it can be interpreted a few different ways. And look, I'm certainly not worried about it. I told you a few weeks ago I'm not even worried about this seeding thing, because it is what it is. We're going to have to beat somebody to qualify for the group stages. So let it be a seeded team if it needs to be a seeded team. But I still think we have enough to go and win whoever we play against, even though there's still a load of combinations and permutations, which will probably mean that we will be still seeded.
Exactly, yeah. Like there's lots of clubs have ties together. Like we found out this week that the PIF, Saudi investment fund, it's a small stake in Clear Lake, which are the owners of which are the investment partner with Todd Bowley in Chelsea. Obviously the PIF own the four top clubs in Saudi Arabia. Look, it's just one of those things that's kind of like it's just it's not really transparent until it becomes transparent. And then like I put up something on Twitter today about it, and I was kind of like, it just kind of, it's even though they only have 5% commitment to Clear Lake, it's just it's moving money around to protect the value of an asset. Chelsea spent quarter or nearly, what was that, half a billion, three-quarters of a billion, whatever it was, on transfers over the last 18, 24 months. And obviously Clear Lake want to get their investment back, their investment company. So the easiest way to get their investment back for the PIF, their 5% investment in that, is to just buy those players back at a semi-reduced cost and then bunk up the coffers. It's not rocket science, but the reason I'm going into that is that this is a tale as old as financial fair play has been around. Really, it's a product of financial fair play. The fact that there's co-ownerships, there's multi-ownerships, and so on and so forth. It's complete, and Aston Villa will and should start to circumnavigate financial fair play through other clubs that they own. It's just something that Man City have done. It's something that other clubs are doing. I don't know how they do it before anyone asks me, but the financial aspect of it is certainly something that is to be looked at. So look, it's not a huge it's not a huge thing. I don't have any worry on this, and I don't think it's going to come to bear at all on Aston Villa, because if it does, there'll be a lot of other clubs thrown out of Europe as well. Based
I've more of an issue with Man City and Arsenal attempted to bankroll Chelsea back out of financial fair play trouble by buying their talent. Anyway, that's a story for another day.
Kovacic is Kovacic is the man. Like that's a great signing. But also, that's a great signing. But anybody who thinks they're going to see Calvin Phillips in a Man City shirt anytime soon, that's out the window. The fact, so that's something as well. But yeah, there's another little piece to this as well that I wanted to mention. I mentioned him as well about Ceferin. So Alexander Ceferin, basically, even though he's the president of UEFA, he is the arbiter of the rules. For whatever reason in his mind, he's come out and basically sided on the money side, and basically said, "Yeah, I'm going to take all this money that's coming in," because he basically said that the current regulations with regards to this need to be looked into from the point of view of he wants to encourage multi-ownership, because there's more and more interest in this type of property, as he called it. Now, is there a more soulless way to describe a club? I know I'm okay to be corrected in this, and the fact that it could be taken out of context with regards to translation. But what a soulless way for an administrator of the biggest, probably the most profitable outside of FIFA, the most profitable regional sporting entity, I will go so far to say, to call it property. And he's supposed to be a football man. I don't know. He could be a great guy. He could turn out to be a super guy. But I'm just, since the Super League piece, he's just seemed to become a real pussycat for any of these big entities that come in here and try to dictate him. And look, as I say, people, I don't know as much as I should know about him, but I'm just not convinced by things that he comes out with. He just seems to be just like all the rest of them, I suppose, in those big roles, unfortunately, which undermines kind of confidence in him.
No, I liked the sound bites he threw out at the start, but since then I've been uninspired by what he has done and how he's reacted to some stuff. But look, we've bigger fish to fry. All we've got to do is look after our own ship, and as long as they're not going to throw any sanctions on us for owning 46% of Vittorio Guimaraes, I couldn't give a shiny shite about anybody else. It's time for us to look after our own ship, sail it well, which we've been doing for the last couple of years, and sail it into proper Champions League football in the coming years. That's where we want to be. That's what it's all about. I lost that comment there that I wanted to say. Didn't we meet John in
we did
Birmingham?
John the Jenny, we did, and his two boys as well. And it was Did your young lad get to that house party for a finish, John? I think. In fairness,
happy birthday, John!
Exactly. Happy birthday to you. Yeah.
And there's someone else that I want to give a shout out to tonight, and that is most of you might remember David Scott, who does our Christmas song for us. We might hear from him at the live show as well. But David Scott is
Massive.
getting married on Friday. So congratulations to you and your good wife to be. And we wish you many years of happiness together, obviously. And and we look forward to seeing you on the 9th of September.
Absolutely, here, indeed. Paddy, what will we do next? Let's do our transfer chat. Let's leave the live podcast guest announcement until the end. Paddy, we're in transfer season.
Are we?
Actually, before we get
Your
into the
favorite
transfer,
time of the year.
my favorite time of the year. Yeah, contrary to popular belief. But actually, before we get into the transfer stuff, the club shop isn't open until 2:00 tomorrow, Paddy. What do you think that means, Paddy? But before we go on this, we haven't a clue. I've just been playing the Twitter game all day today. I've been a bit devious on Twitter today with a couple of posts, but nothing really to do with the kit, because we don't know anything about the kit. But when this came out, obviously Twitter was ablaze that the kit was going to be released tomorrow.
Of course it was. That's only natural.
Yeah.
Do you want to know my opinion?
On a pallet. We've not seen anything on a pallet yet, anyway, Paddy. So
No.
it's not really kit release day until we see it in a pallet. We don't even know who the sponsor is going to be. It was never announced. It was kind of just like there was a big broom gotten out, and it was like someone lifted up the carpet in the corner, the whole suite, and brushed the BK underneath there. Yeah, they've forgotten about it. Yeah, but no, it's never been fully announced. Although the kazoo is gone from Villa Park, so it will. We're going to find out sooner rather than later.
Exactly, and I'm 99% sure it'll be BK88, and I'm 99% sure we will not see the shirt tomorrow. I just cannot believe that the club would be financially naive to release a shirt tomorrow and not announce it and not have a queue outside the ground. So that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but that's my opinion on it anyway.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it'll be announced when it's announced. But it'll be announced when it's announced. But if anybody's going to be down there for 2:00 tomorrow waiting in the queue, unfortunately, I'm an extra large at the moment. So keep me in mind if you're going into the club shop.
It's too late for me. I want the one for my holidays, but I'm going to be too late. It won't reach me in time. So
yeah, it
is what it is. So if it's released tomorrow, so be it. I would love us to be big enough to be releasing our short that early in the summer that people could wear it going on holidays and wear it going to the States and wear it going to Valencia and all those places that we're going to this summer. And but we don't tend to do that, whether it's our call or whether it's Fanatics' call. But I'm not expecting to see a short tomorrow for sure.
Just in case Paddy said he's going on holidays, Paddy's going into Love Island Villa. I didn't mind joking. He's going into I'm a Celebrity for 3 weeks, so Paddy's not going to be going to be around for. Is it 3 weeks, Paddy? 2 weeks?
A couple of weeks.
Yeah, a
couple of weeks. Yeah,
couple of weeks.
Don't worry, sure. You'll have so much transfer talk to talk about. You won't need me.
Well, if you were to rely on Twitter, we're not going to sign anyone, and we're going to get relegated next year because we've signed nobody. Yeah. And why haven't they announced Tielemans? They can't because it's not the 1st of July yet. That's why they can't announce him because his contract doesn't end. So
I have a sneaky feeling that we're going to see a transfer. We're going to see a man in person in the next couple of days. So hang tough on that one, but I have a sneaky feeling that's going to happen this week.
Well, there you go. I don't know. I can't back that one up. I can neither confirm nor deny that one. But talking about transfers, Paddy, like if you were like, there's been a lot of names linked in the last couple of days. Pau Torres just doesn't seem to want to go away. That link. I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, but every time I hear it, I kind of go, oh, it's usually followed up half an hour later with Bayern Munich are looking at signing him, and like you're kind of going, well, look, much and all as I love Aston Villa, Bayern Munich do need a left-sided centre half, and it's so love it to happen, but I struggle to kind of to start bouncing in the seat over because it just seems like one that might get away from us unless we do it under the cover of darkness. But there seems to be a lot of chatter about it at the moment. Obvious links with Unai Emery, Paddy. But what do you make of that one? Like, it just doesn't seem to want to go.
It doesn't go away, but still, on the other hand, it doesn't seem to be anything happening. I think I personally think if we were going to sign him, it would have happened last January. That was just my opinion at the time, and I still stand by it. Whether he was just too pricey, whether it was just still too raw with Unai Emery to go back and try and do business with his old club, whether they felt that they needed to keep him for the rest of the season, I don't know. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. That's just my opinion. I don't have anything to back that up. I just don't think. I don't think that's the area of the pitch that we're going to break the bank on, and it is breaking the bank. It is going to cost us a fair wad of money. So for that reason, I don't think it's going to happen. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I know anything or anything to the that would suggest otherwise. But that's just my gut feeling on it.
And somebody we were linked with. I'm going to say tentatively linked to it in January. There was a story on, and at the time, I suppose, really prior to the World Cup, it may have been a possibility. Marcus Thuram from Borussia Mönchengladbach. There you go. Put my teeth back in there.
I needed Paul O'Connell to say that for you.
Yeah, I needed that exactly. But he's gone to AC Milan. I think it's a super move for him. Obviously, it would be better if he was in claret and blue. I don't ever think he was a realistic option once the World Cup came around. Crossed off the list pretty quickly for me. He was going to be able to name his price at a club in the Champions League, and more power to him. I'm trying to think of other transfers, Paddy. Are there any other links that you can?
Well, there's still a load of links in the air, and I think that's the only one that's over the line. Obviously, I'm going to murder his name now. Lee. Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain bound.
Linked with Paris Saint-Germain, not done. Asensio, not done. Nico Williams, not done. So let there be no panic. Unai Emery's only back in the building a wet day now, so it's gonna take a bit of time before these are done. That's what leads me to think that something's going to happen this week now that we have him back at Bodymore Heath doing his work, and and his old mate Monchi on the way behind him.
Yeah, that's something actually that we haven't even spoken about. I haven't spoken to you about there. Obviously, look, Monchi's coming in as well. Rumors had it, or there might have been something up on social media that Unai Emery has been away on holidays, well-earned holiday. Yes, he does take holidays, apparently. I don't know how true that is. I only heard it secondhand in the grapevine. But obviously, if Monchi's coming into the building, Unai Emery's being out of the building, you would expect the transfer rumors and you would expect the chatter to die down, because much and all as a lot of the links come from agents, and they come from spurious agent twaddle, I suppose, really is what you would call it. Some do come out of the building on purpose, and when there's less people in the building, or there's less people coming and going, having meetings within the building, I suppose it's less likely that you're going to have many of those rumors. So we haven't seen an awful lot of them this week. But what's your view on Monchi, Paddy?
Well, first of all, you say he was on holidays. My opinion was he was on a working holidays, sitting on the beach, drinking cocktails with Monchi on a private beach in the south of Spain somewhere. So he was working his magic and getting that one over the line. Look, the man needs a holiday. The man never stops. I go to holidays myself this week, so I know exactly how he feels. You do need a break. You do need to recharge the batteries. Everybody does, and he is no stranger or no different to you or I. We all need a break from reality and just to switch off the brain for a while. So I hope he had a really good rest, and I hope he's back ready with all his ducks in a row, ready to get them all in before pre-season. Because I think that's important to us. I think a pre-season with everybody a full tilt. I'm thinking the likes of Coutinho that hasn't had one in a while. I think that could be the make or break him with him if he doesn't move on. So yeah, I'd like to see the signings done early. I'd like to see us come back that first week in July with, well, those that aren't on international duty come back the first week in July and be ready and fit and ready to go and having a full pre-season under their belt. So yeah, interesting times, but I don't think there's any need to panic just yet.
No, absolutely no need to panic whatsoever. Like any of the business that's been done really has been players going out within the Premier League. Yes, you've seen inter-team movements like some McAllister and looks like Kai Havertz is going to move to Arsenal. I'm a lot higher on that Kai Havertz move than a lot of people. I take the money out of it. I think Kai Havertz is like before he moved to Chelsea, he was flying, like he was flying it at Leverkusen. And Chelsea has just been a bit of a basket case since he's moved in there. So it's an interesting one. Like when you've got Frank Lampard, and then you've got Potter more or less set up to fail. From the point of view when he was brought in there, and then you know, having the end of the season that the Chelsea had there as well, as I say. Yeah, that'll be an interesting one there. One of the guys, where has it gone to? Tim Hurley says there's that young lad from Turkey, the rumours as well. Yeah, Arda Güler. If Villa managed to pull it off, it would be it would be a barnstormer. I was nearly going to say I will do X if Arda Güler signs for Aston Villa, but there was a rumor today to say that yeah, that's him. There was a rumor today that said Aston Villa were going to send a delegation out there to Turkey to have a chat with him. And I'd be surprised if they didn't do their due diligence just to see where he was looking to go. Linked with massive team, like Aston Villa are a massive team, but linked with teams that are in the Champions League, linked with teams that are obviously looking maybe buy him for a year or two's time. Wouldn't be first choice. Maybe he wants to continue his development, but at a slightly higher level within the Premier League. And I know Fenerbahce fans wouldn't like to hear me say that, but and I do know a couple of Fener fans. I work with a couple of them, so hopefully they're not watching this podcast because I get a flea in my ear tomorrow. But yeah, I'd be absolutely blown away if we signed him. Just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But again, fantastic player, and there's a reason I haven't done any scouting series on him, because I find it hard to believe that he's going to sign for Aston Villa. But if he does, good player. Anything else, Paddy? Anything else you can think of?
No, I think we've covered. Well, we haven't covered off everybody because there's a whole load of linking and talking and stuff going on. A lot of it pie in the sky, but yeah, I think you've covered off the main transfer targets there. I think two positions I think will happen is we will sign a backup goalkeeper and we will sign another right back. So that's what we're not seeing mentioned. And I'm gonna put it out there. Sneaky suspicion. We bring back an old goalkeeper.
You've been saying this to me for a while now.
An ex-goalkeeper of ours may come back in the transfer window, a homegrown goalkeeper. So let's say
homegrown. That's an absolute, that's a rotten tomato, Paddy, because Villa didn't.
We didn't grow him, but but he's classed as an English player in the homegrown English player in the European circle. So yeah, I may as well tell everybody. I think Tom Heaton is going to come back.
Yeah, Paddy has a sneaking suspicion Tom Heaton is going to be coming back. But then again, Paddy, did you not see prime Dida last night playing for Sweden? Did you not see Robin Olsen had a 10-minute spell of
Robin
absolute what? Like there was a 10-minute spell there where he would have blocked, as Noah Connaughton said this, he would have blocked hayseeds, you know, if they were blowing at him. Out of nowhere, what a great performance for him last night. They ended up losing 2-0, but I think it was 2-0 anyway. But he had a 15-minute spell where he was just like it was highlight reel stuff.
I was hoping that 15 minutes while the Scotland match was on pause was enough of a show reel for somebody to come in and look at that big shop window and ask how much is that doggy in the window and take him away.
And Chad from Villa Forever podcast as well. Yeah. Good to see you, Chad. Chad says we're linked to Begovic as well. I was surprised at that because I thought Begovic had signed for Luton Town already. You know, he was heavily linked with going to Luton, and he was also heavily linked with the second seat at Fulham. But I think it was Fulham. Yeah. But an old head like that might be worth looking at as well. But interesting ones for sure. Interesting ones. Right, Paddy, we could stay here and talk about transfers all day long, but let's so obviously the third piece of this is we've got a live podcast coming up. Unfortunately, for any of you who haven't got tickets already, it has been sold out. I mentioned, I think last night or maybe it might have been the night before, I mentioned that we are still efforting to see if we can get more tickets there. So there will be, as soon as we have anything on that, we will give you guys plenty of notice, at least 3 or 4 days notice to before we tickets go up on sale. But as of now, tickets, the initial cohort of tickets, the additional 20 tickets that went on sale have all been sold out. And we're just waiting to see if there's going to be any more that will be able to go on sale. So if there's any corner that they can fit people into, the view will still be great, don't you worry. But if there's any corner to fit people into, but with that in mind, we've announced we have two podcast guests already booked in. We have the wonderful Dan Bardell from the Villa View and from your Sky Sports screens will be there. We have the two lads from Villa and Tour, Max and Simon, who are going to be fresh from the US trip and their trip to Valencia. I think I saw Max put up today as well. So that's going to be fantastic. And we also have somebody else that a lot of you from Twitter will be very familiar with as well. But we're not going to tell you about who it is. We're going to let him tell you himself.
On Today FM. I'm away on holidays at the moment.
Wait a minute.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is Deck Pierce here from Block Rock and Beats on Today FM. I'm away on holidays at the moment in Spain, but I'm just jumping on very quickly to say I am absolutely honoured to be a special guest at the For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast in Dublin, live in the Laughter Lounge on the 9th of September.
No telling.
Be there, which is fantastic news. Unfortunately, Dan Bardell is going to be there as well. But listen, we'll chat all things Villa on the 9th of September. See you soon. Up the Villa.
Now, if you're wondering why Unai Emery popped up in the middle of that as well, Mr. Pierce may have given away the final guest that we haven't quite announced just yet on that. And this is where I come a cropper, just like that night after we played Nottingham Forest, Paddy, where I was sworn to secrecy about about that player, that player that saluted you or that called you over. And of course, I blurted it out in the middle of the podcast and announced to myself, I am now going to shut up.
Well, it may or may not have been him. May or may not
have been him. And people will go back and listen to it now. But yes, Deck Pierce is going to join us. Yeah, for those of you who don't know Deck Pierce is a national broadcaster here in Ireland on Block Rock and Beats, on Today FM, superstar DJ around the country. Put it this way, he's Ireland's Nathan Daw. In case you, yeah, exactly. Paddy's wearing his top. So in case you don't know him,
I was trying to give it away a bit early, but nobody put it in the comments.
Nobody put it in the comments. Yeah. So Deck is going to join us on the evening. I suppose we're going to say the night on the evening, and he's going to chat to us as well about Aston Villa. It's great to have an Aston Villa fan in such a position here within the broadcast media within Ireland as well, to be able to fly the flag, and he very much so does that. We're very thankful, and we did not put him up to saying, unfortunately, Dan Bardell will be there as well. He did that at his own volition. We did not do that. So Dan, if you're watching this, that wasn't us. That was take that up with Mr. Pierce. Take that up with Mr. Pierce. Yeah, and we're looking forward to it on the 9th of September. And in due course, we will announce the last person that will be joining us on that night. And or that evening or that afternoon. We're really looking forward to it because it's going to be great to get a group of Villa fans together in Ireland, because it's been too long coming, to be honest with you, and just delighted to be able to facilitate it for sure.
Absolutely. Delighted that Deck. For those that would remember, we had our Christmas party at Deck's gig last December. We had a rare old night out in Limerick at Deck's gig. And for those that don't know, Deck has a big gig this weekend in Fairview Park in Dublin. If anyone's interested, you can get your tickets at ticketmaster.ie or .com or wherever you pick up your tickets. But that's going to be an epic gig. And but for 2 games of hurling that I have to go to on Saturday afternoon, I would be going myself. But I'm raging I'm going to miss it. But that's life. We can't do everything. But I've seen Deck loads of times. For those that like 90s rave music, it's just a great show, brilliant show to watch. So if you ever get a chance, you got to go and see him. And we look forward to seeing him on the 9th of September. And Richard asked in the comments there, is it going to be shown on YouTube? Not live, Richard, but we will get it out there eventually.
Yeah, it's we will. Yes, it will be shown after the event. Not directly after the event, because I'm sculling points for 2 days after that event. And the reason I won't be at Deck Pierce in Fairview Park is because I'll be having a scrap with a 7-week-old child for the whole weekend. So that's why I won't be there. And he'll win too. That's the thing. The child will win. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Keith Cassidy. John Rich. There's a guessing game coming on here. Last person is Ross McCormick. And then that's Jonathan Ridge says last person. No, it's not Ross McCormick. And Keith Cassidy says McGrath to be announced for the last guest. If he is, I haven't heard anything about it anyway so far. But who knows? Who knows?
Gaz wants to know who was in the car park. It was Ross McCormick. He couldn't get out of his car.
Yeah, he was locked out of his car. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to it. And if any of you guys have tickets, as I say, we're looking forward to chatting to you all on the night as well. Paddy, I think that's going to do it. I was complaining about being tired last night, and things aren't any different. I actually was supposed to open up a can on the podcast because just why not? It's the Nightcap podcast. So with that, I think, Paddy, no better time, I think, to end the pod. I'm going to have a little nightcap myself and tip off to the land of Nod. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening as well. Interesting times ahead. It's going to be interesting tomorrow to see if said kit announcement does happen. And if it does, we will surely be on to chat our way through it and see what we think about it. And we hope you guys will be able to join us as well tomorrow. So I suppose with that, everybody have a fantastic night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
I did it again. Forgot my outro.